Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. Hey, Health Coach Nation. If you're a coach, a wellness professional, or a beauty practitioner, you know how important it is to protect your business while growing your impact. That is where Alternative Balance comes in. Alternative Balance is a membership-based group that provides liability insurance and essential business resources to help you feel confident and secure in your work. Whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up your business, their coverage and benefits like marketing tools, business growth webinars, and 5-star customer service are all designed to help you thrive. I highly recommend checking them out. I've even interviewed them on the show before. Go to alternativebalance.com to learn more and get coverage that fits your business needs. She's a systems strategist and CEO of Scale Up with Courtney. As a mom of 4 kids under 6, Courtney definitely has a passion for creating efficient systems to make business and life easier. She has a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship. Ooh, so do I. You don't meet a lot of people who have that. And information systems, and is a certified director of operations and business coach. Courtney has grown businesses from 6 to 7 figures and has leveraged deep understanding of systems technology. And she also has firsthand experience in the home service industry, running the background of her family's coding business and completely optimizing their systems. She loves the color orange and enjoys a good fountain Coke and finds joy in organizing everything from tech setups to everyday life routines. Courtney believes in the power of simple, efficient systems to provide freedom and support for a fulfilling personal and professional life. I love that. So thank you so much for being here. And wow, 4 kids. So you definitely need systems. So tell me a little bit about in your business life, why did you get so passionate about systems? What were some of the first systems that caused you to see the power of them? And let's start there.
Yeah. So I've always loved organizing things. I think that's where it started when I realized I could do that in people's businesses. It was a little bit of the game changer for me. So I started as a virtual assistant forever ago, and I saw how messy the back end of most businesses were because people just didn't know better, or they didn't know how to make things more efficient. And to me, that's always been second nature, thankfully. So I kind of got started in the online course industry, coaches, people of that nature. That's where I really dove in. And it started with, hey, I have a webinar. Can we automate some of the, follow-up, the reminders, or, hey, we need this spreadsheet to update data automatically here. Just little pieces like that. And I realized that I could actually only focus on systems because it was way more fun than general virtual assistants or whatever random admin people were having me do, customer support, that kind of stuff. So that was where it started. And it just evolved over time from that, realizing that the pieces, the automations, all those things could just dive in together and make people's businesses operate better.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of the biggest accomplishments you've mentioned is that, I ask you this in my podcast forum because I want to talk about it with you, is you have scaled your business while raising and homeschooling 4 young children. And you're able to go on vacations, you're able to not be attached to your laptop all the time. So tell me a little bit about where did you begin with that process? And when it wasn't, scaling, what were some of the mistakes you were making?
Yeah, that's a great point. So to start, so now I have a team. So obviously I have a team of women I can leverage. They all have their industry expertise on the the things we do and the services we offer. So that helps a lot now. But a year ago, I didn't have that team. And so I had to get really specific in what it was that I needed to automate, what it was that I needed to focus on, and where was my time best spent. And obviously for every business, that's a little different. For me, I just adjusted my routine. So with our kids at home, I do better in the morning. And that's evolved over time. When the kids were, a little bit younger than they are now, when we were doing lots of sleepless nights, I would work a little bit later rather than, but right now, my routine is I'm up around 4:30. I'm working by 5. I work until 7:30, and then I'm with the kids, and we do school and activities and camps. And then I do work again around this time of day, so mid-afternoon, and they do quiet time. And then if I need to in the evenings, I would work also when they went to bed. And that routine worked really well for me because I was able to be present with my kids, but I was also able to work and build a business. And I know for some people out there, different routines make sense. Like not everyone's a morning person and wants to get up at 4:30 and get straight to work. That's what works for me. And I always preface that with people. And like I said, the automations, that's a huge piece. I have lots of different pieces automated. We have, email responders, and we have follow-up sequences, and we have onboarding forms that automate into, payments and automatic collection. Like all those types of things are really beneficial and easy to implement to cut down on like the customer service side of things that are needed. So I can spend more time working on the things that I need to be working on and not chasing a lot of admin. And then some of the mistakes, oh man. I mean, obviously there's tons. I think finding the right clients was honestly one of the hardest pieces for me. When I was heavy in growing and trying to, get more clients and get my name out there more, I would work with pretty much anyone that fit the bill of like they needed the services, but maybe personality wise or business wise, it wasn't the best fit. And I learned very quickly that it drained my energy, it drained my capacity, it took away from my good clients because I was spending so much time trying to deal with them and the things they needed, even if it wasn't the best fit. Taking on projects that I didn't want to do just for the sake of, again, like, oh yeah, we could totally do that setup, but it didn't align with how we operate, or just a software tech, maybe we didn't like to work in that. And instead of turning it away, we would take it on, and it would just end up in a nightmare. Those were definitely some even recent ones that we have experienced by far.
Yeah. I think everybody goes through that phase in the beginning where you're like, I'll make it work. And then was it like, well, was that the right choice? And, one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is knowing what systems to even have. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like if someone's a new entrepreneur, how do they start to realize, I can make a system around blank? Where do they start?
I always tell people to start with one of two things. What's frustrating you the most? What's the biggest problem you have right now? Or that one thing that when you're working on it, you're like, I wish this was easier, or I wish there was a better way. There's that side of it. And for every business, that's going to be different. I talked with a business last week, and one of the ladies I was speaking with, she said the biggest piece for her was her time management. She didn't know what to prioritize when, because she had a lot of things that she would touch it, but then she'd send it back to a client or to someone else in the office, and then they'd have to circle it back around. So the prioritizing of when to do what was really difficult for her. So that's, again, going to be varying on every business. The easiest place to start is some form of a follow-up. Every single business I step into, you're going to have leads. You're going to have people coming in your pipeline, your email list, all those pieces where they're going to come in and interact with you in some capacity. And if you don't have any way to automatically follow up with them, or at least get yourself in front of them, if you get busy, life gets busy, you get sick, kids get sick, just things happen. It's really easy to let that slip. And so having some form of an automatic email sequence, automatic follow-up sequence. A lot of the people in the home service space, or even if you're just sending proposals to people, if you don't have an automatic follow-up system for what you're offering, you're going to very often find yourself losing business. That's one of the quickest ways I get clients to increase revenue, is looking for the gaps in their follow-up system, and then finding any simple already made zaps. So using Zapier, they have so many like recipes or pre-built automations that you can just plug and go, and you don't have to really try that hard to figure out what to automate in that sense, because you can just step right in and say, oh yeah, I'd love, like, for example, I like to see when client payments come through. And so I have a Slack channel set up, and every time I receive a payment through Stripe, it sends me a Slack message. And it's just like a fun way to be like, oh, cool, I got paid today, because maybe I don't always see it directly because I see it there.
Nice. I love that example. So you mentioned some tools, Zapier and Slack. What are some big tools that you recommend for new entrepreneurs that they need to set up for either following up with people or lead generation, things like that?
Yes. So some of my favorites, obviously, I love Flowdesk for emails because it's easy, it's low cost. There's not a ton of red tape around like different levels. It's unlimited subscribers, and it's $20 a year or $20 a month for the first year, and then like $40 a month after that. So it's really easy, and it's super pretty. Like, everyone loves a pretty email. They make it really easy to set it up. So that's a great one, and it has automations built in. So they have forms that you can put on your website, do as pop-ups. So it really puts all the tools right there. I love, obviously, Zapier for the automations where you're connecting more than one software if it doesn't have a way to natively integrate with other platforms. It's just, again, it's pretty easy to use, especially for the low-level automations. You're not doing anything too crazy. And then leveraging ClickUp or some form of a project management tool, I think, is really important. It's not so much on the automation side, but it's still workflow. You can have forms in there. You can organize yourself and your team. So it's really helpful to have a place to keep those, and you can automate things within it to help yourself on the back end. So managing a project or, again, a client workflow, anything like that. And then obviously I use ChatGPT for just about everything. I think a lot of us are jumping on that train, but leveraging it to even talk through different problems or system gaps in your business has been really helpful, like using different prompts to tell it what you want it to act as, and like not letting it agree with you. Because a lot of people jump in and just say, help with this, but without the context and without telling it that you want it to really help you grow, not just, oh yeah, that's a great idea, here's how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of that, ChatGPT, is that your favorite AI thing? Like, is that the one you use the most? Would you
That
say?
is, yeah.
Okay. And what would you say are some prompts or things, like, let's say somebody's like, you know what, I am feeling stuck about where to start with scaling my onboarding system or something like that. What kind of ways would you recommend using ChatGPT that maybe people don't think of, or they don't put in their prompt, or things like that?
Yes. So obviously telling it like, hey, this is a little bit about me and my business. I always include a website link. Now, if you have the ongoing conversation and you feel comfortable enough that it knows your business and who you are, you can skip that part. Giving it the details, and you can do it voice chat too. You don't have to type it all out. So if it's easier to speak it, I do that a lot. It's just sometimes easier to get my words out. I overthink it if I type it. So telling it I have, we'll use me as an example. Hey, I own Scale Up. I'm creating this onboarding system. I'm not quite sure where the gaps are. I don't really know what pieces should be automated. We'll use a different service. We have a marketing foundations offer where we help with SEO and visibility. This is the steps. This is what's included. What am I missing in the onboarding process? What would you recommend that I do? I don't want you to agree with everything I say. I want you to think of yourself as an expert in this industry and in the onboarding process, so I can really refine and fine-tune this system in the simplest way. And when you give it that information, and of course you're going to tweak the language for each person and who you are, but telling it what you want, but telling it to give it to you in a specific way is where the magic really starts to happen, because then it's going to outline it. And then you can have it go deeper and say, I need it step by step. Like I want like an SOP basically on how to implement in my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those listening, that's just a standard operating procedure. It's basically like your list of directions you'd give a teammate if you couldn't do it or things like that. And I love the way that you shared that, because I agree. I think ChatGPT can be really powerful, but you have to guide it and you have to tell it what you like. If it gives you feedback you don't like, that meant you need to be more specific and you need to say, no, don't do it this way, do it this way. Exactly. And the cool thing is you can tell it to save to its memory what you've just told, like save my brand information to your memory so that next time when I come with questions, you're operating from already knowing that or something like that. So many cool things we can do. What would you say, when it comes to juggling, like no matter, I don't care how many systems you have, juggling a business and a personal life and homeschooling your kids and having 4 kids is going to be busy. So tell me a little bit about your favorite time management things you do, or how you've been able to do this and stay sane and confident and all the things.
Yeah. So I'll preface with, as much as I look like I have it all together, I don't always have it all together. Like there's loads of laundry sitting on my bed right now that I would have loved to have put away 3 days ago, but they're still there. But in a perfect world and in a ideal week, I do a few things that help really just me stay on top of things. And when they do fall to the wayside, I feel it, and I feel it in my business. So that's why it helps me keep up better, because I know that when I'm doing these little things every day, I'm not as stressed in all other areas. So typically I do a grocery order every Sunday, and it's for the whole week. And I do delivery because, again, for young kids, I'm not trying to walk around the store all day. So that's a huge help, just knowing, like, and we eat the same meals on repeat. Like, we're not fun with our meals. Like, it's like the same 5 things, but nobody cares, so we run with it. Again, it helps with decision fatigue, so I'm all about it. Obviously, I have like the same routine where I'm up early. My kids follow the same routine. They kind of know what to expect every day, which is really helpful. And then I do a load of laundry a day, typically. So we wash, dry, and put away a load a day, and that just prevents it from piling up, especially with 4 kids. Like, it adds up so quick. I'm like, where did all this come from? Especially when my 3-year-old decides to change 4 times a day. And then we have like activities we do which help keep us on task and organized. My kids do quiet time every day. They have tiny chores they're supposed to do. From a time management perspective, I think it really is just that I'm really strict in my routine, but we have wiggle room. So we know that there's room to adapt, but on most given days, we're going to follow that same routine. And like, I'm working at certain times. If I have an event, I have like 2 or 3 babysitters that I know, or like if I go to one, then I go to the other, then I go to the other. I can pretty much always get them. My husband also works from home now. That's new, like as in the last month. And that's been really helpful because we can trade. So we can piggyback off each other rather than him being on job sites all the time, which is what it used to be. So I would just make sure my routine would align with the kids' activities and the things we want to do. And finding that groove for me was really helpful. So I used to do a morning routine where I'd be like, I'm going to go work out and I'm going to read. And I did all that early in the morning, but realistically, that wasn't serving me. I literally wake up, put on a pot of coffee, brush my teeth, and go to work because it just helps me.
Yeah. No, I think that's really valid, that everybody listening to this is going to have to find what works for you and your own strategy, and not just doing what everybody says you should do, like this elaborate morning routine. Like, I agree. Sometimes it's nice to just get straight to whatever you needed to do on your to-do list. It's like hanging there for the next day, and then do the rest of your morning routine later after you're like, woohoo, I got that big scary thing done. So now I can do my like luxurious morning routine, but in the afternoon or something. So, okay. So very helpful. What about people who get overwhelmed easily and the tech is freaking them out. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like they are easily overwhelmed without the tech and automations just because it's a lot of steps to do whatever it is they're doing. But then the tech and automations freaks them out because that's overwhelming and that's a new thing to learn. What would you say to somebody who's struggling with overwhelm?
That is a great question. I actually just spoke to a group of people this morning about this. We were talking about adapting, but not just giving up, right? Like we don't immediately want to abandon ship. We don't immediately want to go to all the trends. Like you have to be adaptable. So there is a level of how can we break down this overwhelming thing into smaller pieces. So I always say if it feels overwhelming and it feels like something you're not going to use, don't use it. We get a lot of backlash from people saying we could grow our business quicker or we could do better things if we just offered one type of system or, specific softwares. But we will build a system for people in pretty much anything. And I'm not afraid to tell people, no, I won't build it because you don't need the system. So a system could look like you're entering data in a spreadsheet the same day every week. And that's okay if it's not automated, if it's a repeatable system that's easy for you. Eventually, you could automate the data going to the spreadsheet. But if that doesn't work, it's okay to not do that. And it's okay to say no to tech. My business, even though we serve people in all these different areas of tech, we use minimal tech because that's how I like to operate. I love tech and all the shiny things, but I would change softwares every week if it was up to me because I think it's fun. So instead, I just do it for everyone else. So I get to play in all the different tech, but I don't have to do it for myself because that would be overwhelming for me also. So it really is as simple as just breaking it down and saying, do I need that? Or is there a software or a system, a repeatable process that I can do that doesn't require it to be so big and scary? And I would go to brain dump with like ChatGPT and say, what's the simplest path to least resistance in this area for me to accomplish this?
Yeah. Love that. Amazing. So breaking things down and remembering, if something isn't needed right now and what you got is working for you, don't let other people say, oh, you need to get this set up or you're going to have XYZ pain points. All right. So Courtney, where can everybody stay connected with you, find you online, all the good stuff?
Yeah. I'm super active on Facebook. And that's just Courtney Boomer. Facebook. I love a good Facebook group. Also Instagram, you can, my business Instagram is @ScaleUpWithCourtney.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast, and if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.